I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening to have a question and answer session with our president of our town commission, Jim Brown. I think most of you know Jim. I want to let you know that we are recording this evening. This is part of Poolesville Seniors, and so we have our own YouTube channel. Whoa, we're really modern.
That's great.
Yeah. And so we'll be putting this on YouTube channel a little as soon as IJ finishes editing it.
Do I get editorial control?
I don't know.
No, that was a very fast no. Okay, that's fine. I'll keep that in mind.
All right. Well,
thank you, my friend.
I'll let you get started.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, you guys, thanks for being here tonight. It's good to see you again. Those of you that I have seen before, which is just about everybody in this room. So I'm here just to answer your questions, but I always like to start off with an overview of what we have going on in town. And before I get started, we always got to recognize the people in the room. My former co-commissioner, Valerie Dickerson, is here. My current commissioner, Jeff Eck, is in the back. You know, there's important people every which way here that come in and are part of our Poolesville Seniors group. You guys all contribute. I always look at you as being like an active group that helps us shape what we're doing in the town. So I appreciate that. And I do remember the days back when it all started over at Amcalel, and then we helped bring you into town. And when I say we used your money, the taxpayers' money, to help bring together the Poolesville Seniors Group. And we're so proud of the Poolesville Seniors Group for many reasons, not just because you're promoting healthy activities and yes, pickleball. You know, how do you get, Jeff, you're running for re-election, just say you're going to build pickleball courts, okay? There's my word. My word of advice for you.
Brand new pickleball and access team.
Pickleball everywhere right now. But anyway, it's great. The Poolesville Senior Group is one of our most active, engaged groups. And I always tell the story that we had so we've been, as you guys probably know, and I'll hit it in a minute, we're getting a community center, right? It is in the county's budget. We have to fight to keep it in the county's budget, but you're talking about another $30 million worth of investment in this town from the county. And that's an amazing investment. So, and you guys, that's my lovely wife, Gabby, just walked in. So she's the one that can put up with everything that's me. But we have another $30 million coming of investment in the community center. Our job is to fight to make sure that stays in the budget. We've already made the case, and who helped make the case? The citizens of Poolesville. One of the great things about this town is that we know that we can call on virtually anybody, and they will stand up for the town and make the case for what our needs are. And I'll give you an example. So when they did they call it a POR, Program of Requirements, the county did this, and they asked, can we assemble some groups that they could interview to talk about the needs of the community that a community center might serve? And they say typically, so Tacoma Park, had 5 groups, and Silver Spring, they had 7 groups. So we don't think you're going to be able to get that many groups together, but whatever you can do is great. So we had 22 groups that they interviewed, and 22 individual groups that all serve and work with the town of Poolesville and help make our place a great place to live. So that's how we feel about our groups. We love it about Poolesville Seniors. You'll always have our funding when you need it, and as a part of what we do, we totally believe in what the Poolesville Seniors Group has given back to the community and continues to give back. Anyway, that's enough of my sales pitch for that. I want to talk about when we're going to walk visually and virtually from one end of the town to the other so you can get an idea of what we have going on. I'm going to start at the far end of town where Crossvines is. So as you know, Crossvines is an amazing scenario where the county basically kept a roof over the head of the old lodge and kept the roof over the lodge so that eventually another building could be built there. If you knock everything down, you have much less chance of getting another building in the county. They had to have a placekeeper. They kept the lodge together, and then over a period of a number of years, in fact, Val testified down at Capitol Hill with me in Annapolis to talk about funding for it. We got the funding for this amazing facility that, if you'd like it for any other reason, if maybe you say it's too expensive or maybe the menu's not for you, put it this way, we wouldn't have had a golf course unless we built a Crossvines. So saving the golf course meant building Crossvines. Crossvines is awesome. It'll grow over time. It's going to end up being one of the great aspects of the up-county region, and they did their homework. So amazing start right there. Crossvines is great. To me, that's they're not in town, in Poolesville town proper, but hey, anybody that's in our 20837 zip code, we claim them. And they've done a great job there, and they have more to come from Crossvines. Come up West Willard Avenue. There's going to be a development. We already know what we call the Lennar development or Westerly Grove. Those are the latest new houses that were built in Poolesville. Those houses, that neighborhood's been complete for a couple of years. There's still some things that we're working out to finish that neighborhood, mostly from an infrastructure standpoint. But those houses are done. They were built by Lennar. They're nice houses, but that's one of our frontier developments. So when you see where that, does everybody know where I'm talking about? Westerly Grove, between the high school and Crossvines. Right across the street from that is what we call the Bricken property. And by the way, we just designed a webpage that I'll share it so you guys can share it, that talks about each of these developments that are planned over a long period of time for Poolesville. There's what we call the Bricken property is right across the street from the Lennar development, from the Westerly Grove development. If you go there and see what's going by, if you drive by there today, you'll see a cornfield. And that's a development that's off in the future for Poolesville. We don't have the water resources right now for that development. We don't have the sewage capacity for that development. So that's out there. But that development is probably the last frontier going that way for Poolesville. And the Jamesons own the property. They're going through a development process. If anybody is a Jameson relative that's in this room, I apologize. But they take a long time to get things done. That could be a 20-year fuse on creating that development there. So we will wait to see what happens on that one. You're coming up West Willard Avenue. You see Poolesville High School. $130 million of investment in this community by the county. Something that we've had forefathers that fought the battle for us, some people that had parents that did what they had to do, go down to the school board, wear colored shirts, hold up signs, scream, etc. In 2018, I came up with a concept that we were going to stop yelling and start talking. The plan was to create the Fair Access Committee to show where the inequities of this region were not being handled by the groups who were fighting hard for Poolesville High School and the people that were supplying money to us. It didn't really, it was getting traction, but it didn't get the traction we needed. Fair Access came, we lobbied, we worked hard, and we got what we essentially think is the school and an investment by the county that I don't think it's unfair to say that it helped save the town. Because if you don't have a high school or your high school gets merged with other high schools, you lose a sense of community. We realize that. We thank everybody that worked hard before us. And our job was to put a hard press on our local politicians, secure that money. And by the grace of God and COVID funding from the federal government, we were the right time at the right place with the right hand out. And we got Poolesville High School built. It's still being finished. Come up the road from there. You're entering now what's going to be potentially our cultural arts district. This is something that the town has been working on because we realize for our businesses to thrive in this town, we have to have a clearly identifiable commercial zone, and we have to have a place where people know that not just us, but other people can come to Poolesville and enjoy what we have here and enjoy like our small town life. We love them to come here and then leave, spend some money. If you're a biker, bicyclist, go to the bathroom. But spend some money, come here and be a part of our community and enjoy what we have going on. The Cultural Arts District is something that's going through our Planning Commission right now. They are working to define what that means. So if you want something really interesting to do, our commissioner meetings are pretty interesting, but our Planning Commission meetings really do set the pace for what's going on in town and how the future is going to look. So we have high hopes for that area. We're thankful to Locals, right? Locals has created something that we never had before, a cool place to eat and drink, and in a walkable old town building, accenting the greatness of our town hall. No one else has a town hall in the middle of the road like we do. And so we enjoy that, and we know that that's an asset that we have to maintain. Speaking of that, the Historic Medley District, that's who owns that building. We will fund them over a period of time. When I say we, I mean you guys. Our tax dollars goes to Historic Medley to some degree, so they not just maintain the building, but they can do programming and they can do things. They fundraise on their own too. So they do a great job, but the Poolesville Town Hall is an amazing building for us and an asset that we really enjoy. Now you're headed down Fisher Avenue. The whole way from Fisher Avenue, from the main intersection, the four-way stop, all the way down to Wooten and Fisher is our streetscape plan. So I'll be doing a presentation here coming up. So as you guys know, Congressman Trone did not make it to the finals of the Senator Democratic primary. So he has family here in Poolesville. He's coming to Poolesville to do a presentation where we get a big, one of them big fake checks. And they're ready to write the check. And it's a lot of money. And we're going to be super excited to spend it. But what it comes down to is that they have not, we would have done the streetscape, I always say we're the little town that could. We would have already embarked on streetscape, which is a complete remake of Fisher Avenue from this intersection, from the main intersection, all the way down to what will be, gasp, a traffic circle down by Wooten and Fisher, which is our most dangerous intersection. So we have an improvement plan there. But the road's going to be redone, traffic calming devices, better. How many other towns have that the center is the turning lane or through lane? Ours is backwards. If you go down Fisher Avenue, there's all kinds of opportunities to have somebody walk out in front of you or turn or whatever. It's all bad. So we're going to be redoing all that. That's to the tune of about $7 million, with $1 million of it coming from us that we have saved up over a period of time, and then roughly $5.5 to $6 million coming from the state to fund this remake. So we're super excited about that. This is a project that's going to be what we call a 100-year project, right? We think this is going to define what Poolesville is going to look like over the next 100 years. It's going to make it so our businesses are more successful. We're doing all this to make it so that we can have strollers and people walking up and down Fisher Avenue. That's super exciting to us. That's what makes a town a town. So we've done all we can to make sure that we're really ready to go. And when we had all the work done, and streetscape could have been done by now, but the money from the state came with strings, and the strings were, well, guess what? You got to use state-supplied vendors to do the work. So we didn't start from scratch, but we knew exactly what we had. And so we've had to go through that process, but we had those vendors lined up. You're going down Fisher Avenue. Fisher Avenue's been remade. We had the development to the left as you're headed down Fisher Avenue. The much discussed at Wayland Commons, the Willard property. You guys, if you've been here for a while, you know this has been a political scenario that's taken place over a 9-year process now. But I like what we've landed at. And the Willards are, again, very slow movers in terms of what they're trying to do on that process. I'm happy for that because we want them to get it right. That's going to be 63 houses. And you think, oh my God, 63 houses. But these are smaller homes. They're fighting to keep them small. They're fighting to make sure that they are going to be more senior accessible. Yes, definitely they're on smaller property lots. But I say to you, even if you disagree with me, having downtown density, it's the only place to have it. And you want downtown density for vibrancy. You want it to be supportive of your businesses. We want strollers. We want old people. We want us in-betweeners, all to be able to use Fisher Avenue and then to enhance our commercial sector. If you're going to have density, why the Bricken property that I've told you about that's all the way down by Crossvines, does that add to your downtown density? No. They have to ride bikes to get there at a minimum. So having a place where you can be downtown and have restaurants, get ice cream, take your kids to ballet, It's all going to be right there. We think it's really going to enhance our businesses. It's the right place for density. Again, it had a terrible rocky start when it was divided the town between the people that want nothing and the people that want something and everywhere in between. So I give them credit. They've slow rolled it since then. Our Planning Commission has been extremely thoughtful on the process. They've adhered it to our comprehensive plan, which, again, I'll shoot out the comprehensive plan webpage and also to the description of these developments. You can get your idea on what that's going to look like and how it fits into the comprehensive plan. Slide down Fisher Avenue some more. Wayland Commons. There were those of us that were here way back in the day. There was people that hated the idea of Wayland Commons. It's turned into our cultural center. It's turned into our meeting place. It's where families grow and young meets old, old meets young. We do 27 events a year that are somehow related to Wayland Commons, either added or through other subgroups or what Poolesville, what the town does. We believe in building community, and Wayland Commons was our home run as far as we're concerned. So just as you guys, I'm walking you down the street, I've already showed you what's on the left-hand side as you're headed south. On the right-hand side is what we call the spear. So if you look at this in a big overhead map of our area, the spear is the area from Poolesville High School with Wooten Avenue on one side and Fisher Avenue on the other. As you head south, it ends up at a point. That's called the tip of the spear. The tip of the spear and the spear itself is our commercial zone. So you can expect that we want commercial activities to take place there. And I'm leading up to something, so I'm just giving you the scope of that right now. There are places inside the spear that still have development potential. If you go down Norris Road, right by the post office, you can see there's some older houses there. There's some big properties that are there too. Eventually, there will be some sort of infill, but the reason why you don't see that now is because there's no stormwater for that. And when I say there's no stormwater, I mean that ground is so level that water has nowhere to go. And in Montgomery County, you really got to you're required to take care of stormwater. It's not our function; it's the county's function to make sure that stormwater has a place to go. You know, the whole goal: keep it away from, keep the bay in good shape, keep the streams in good shape. We agree with all that. I'll tell you a little more about that when we get down to the wastewater treatment plant. So the spear itself is an area that you're going to see changes take place over time, but it's really undefined right now. You're talking about McDonald's, Tad's Place, etc. But we bought Dr. Dillingham Park. Does everybody know where that is? It's where the dog park is. It's where skate park, thank you, and another kids park there. We bought Dr. Dillingham Park 17 years ago with the idea that one day we're going to build a community center there. So we bought it, we kind of built it, we left space inside it. We use it for overflow parking for Poolesville Day. It serves a purpose for us. But with our engagement with the county, one of the ways that we knew that we would jump ahead of other communities was if we could supply the place versus the county having to buy property, use one of its existing properties, or somehow get a hold of something that made sense for a certain area. So it's critical, right? We wouldn't want to build a community center like down where the Bricken property is that I've already talked about. Who would go to it? It's difficult. You can't walk there. We'd have to improve West Willard Avenue all the way down. That's not going to be in the scope of things. We bought Dr. Dillingham Park in order to build a community center there one day. We've lobbied, just like we did for the high school, to get the community center. A lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of handshakes, a lot of showing why we need it. And if you start thinking about it, our isolation and our lack of services for this region, that's part of fair access, right? So doing this, we bought that. We didn't know when we would get a community center. We didn't know how that was going to work. We'd never conceived of fair access at that point. We knew that we didn't get our share of the services. We pay taxes just like everybody else does. Why aren't we getting those services? That's part of the concept of fair access. We plug it in, and we've applied to different things. The community center is one of them. We were able to handle, and thanks to Jeff and my fellow commissioners in the past, we were able to develop this site and be able to, on behalf of you and all of our residents, essentially, we got a grant to pay for it, so you didn't come out of pocket when we bought it, and now we have this piece of land that has taken us from a lower tier project with the county and turned us into a top priority situation with the county. They have not finished deciding if that space will work. And we know that if we do end up doing that space, we may have to move the dog park, we may have to move the tot lot there, but we're not going to lose any park. If we have to move something, our Parks Board will find the appropriate place for it and make sure that things are accessible. But we are ahead of the game by doing that with our community center, the purchase of Dr. Dill. I'm still sliding down the spear. You're getting a little further closer to the point now. So we've got Wayland Commons on that side. We've got Dr. Dillingham Park on the right behind the McDonald's. You're headed down south. There's a biggie that's going to come, right? Behind the CVS is a proposed townhome development. Again, this is going to be in you'll be able to access it online. You'll be able to see what these look like. 39 houses. So I've already said 63. This is 39. There's a couple of other smaller ones that are going to come up. I can describe those in a little bit too. But right now, you're looking at roughly 100 houses. 3.2 people per house, roughly 320 people moving into town. Our town limit, we're thinking is around 6,000 people right now. Our comprehensive plan has always set a cap of 6,500 people. These developments will come close to getting us to that 6,500. Well, people will say, why, what's the big hurry to get to 6,500? It's not really a big hurry to do that, but it is important though, if you want your town to thrive and have vitality, have our groups filled out, have our commerce work well, that we think about our downtown density more than anything else. And that's where our focus has been. Long time ago, I was a commissioner back then, we decided to rejigger how we were going to allocate water and sewer because we wanted to emphasize what would be going on downtown versus on the periphery, because downtown vitality was the most important thing for us. Don't have a downtown, don't have a town, don't have a community. You have to build it from the inside out. This has been a concentrated effort to do that. You're going down Fisher Avenue, you're going to the tip of the spear. There's going to be a traffic circle there. Yes, it's been measured out for all farm equipment. Yes, everything's been researched to make sure that we build it the right way. If you hear it from anybody else, I don't know how they're going to get the tractor from over that thing. Farm community's been consulted. All that information has already been vetted out. We've already secured the land on 3 sides of it through easement. We're going to secure the 4th side of the land by the development that's going to be built there. So unlike what you're going to see at Wayland Commons, next to Wayland Commons, where we call it the Willard development, those are small single-family homes, and we've encouraged them to build small single-family homes by giving them a break on their impact fees, because we want that for our community. We hear it from you, we hear it from other people. This is what we want. We'd love to have a place to transition to as we get older. We'd love to have more single-family homes that are affordable. We'd love to have single-level homes that are affordable. We're hoping that takes place in that great walkable environment at the Willard property. The property by the tip of the spear is townhomes. And they have very specific architectural guidelines that they have to adhere to. So I hear people all the time, we'll hear it from people, oh God, he's just a real estate salesman, he just wants more houses, he needs to sell more houses. Listen, I will retire one day. It won't be my legacy that'll be taking that on. I don't have any kids in the business, so I'm not gonna be able to pass on a business aspect of this. This is going to come down to what's best for the town in our downtown zone where we need that vitality. We have the 63 homes at Willard, don't know when they're gonna get built. In fact, we hear that potentially their relationship with their builder is not necessarily where it might be. They're working on that. The townhome development behind CVS, 39 homes. There's all kinds of infrastructure. When you get the web link, look at it. We've talked about what they're providing along with building those homes. We're looking forward to the traffic circle. We're looking towards a better entrance feature. We're looking forward to these homes giving us an alternative to if you live in like Westmont or Westerly, or you live in one of the big houses in Brightwood Crossing, you can be able to downsize and come to these townhomes potentially. So they're coming to. That's the one I think you're going to see a shovel in the ground this fall, this winter. And again, I know there's going to be people out there that think, oh God, I would love to just see that stay a pasture, or right next to I want to drive by and just see weeds. That's not necessarily good for the health of the town. The townhouses are going to be those townhouses are going to be a big help for us, I think, in terms of helping our young people get places to live. And I think in the end, when we talk about the tip of the spear, one of my goals, I've only got 2 years left. So this is like now, we've got my time clock is running right now. I want to be able to complete or have those developments in a way that the people will really like them and they'll enhance our town. And then as we talk about the end of the spear, the townhouses, that as we go south on Fisher Avenue, the townhouses on the right, my goal is to have in place a complete urban renewal of those townhouses. There's models out there that talk about how this can happen. And it's a pretty interesting model how it works. Basically, through government grants, sections of townhouses. So if you drive by there, you'll see each townhouses, there's 5 or 6 in each section. Those townhouses can be rehabbed in about a month to a month and a half. There's government programs out there that will help. Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. Somebody's going to have to potentially, you might be living in a Best Western for a month or a month and a half. But the potential exists for either no money or low money that those townhouses can be rehabbed and turned into something much better than what they are right now. So my hat's off to the homeowners that have undertaken all the costs and everything they've had to do to make those townhouses better. But there's potential out there for that to turn around. So we'll see what happens. Mark my words, I got 2 years left. See if I can get it done or not. Jeff, are you on board?
I certainly am. Yeah.
All right, good man. Val? Done.
100%.
Yeah.
Poolesville all the way.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for waking up for that one. You guys, so that's something that we have going on. So now I've walked you all the way through town. I've taken you from down the corner to our Cultural Arts Center area. We've gone down Fisher Avenue together. Of course, there's always a better hope for, retail to make sure and commercial to pick up, et cetera. We're down there, the corner traffic circle. I really don't see anything else happening as we go down the line. As we head towards my house down Fisher Avenue, you can see we're doing all kinds of construction work on the left side on Fisher right now. And all that is doing is extending water and sewer for the property that's on the left-hand side as you're headed south. There's 3 houses that are going to be built there. There is no water and sewer there. It's all at the street level, so that's going to be brought up for that. You can see that Rensberger is the builder for it. I really don't know too much about the houses. I sold the property originally a long time ago, and it's been through several itinerations. It's to show that we're not really pushing the envelope. That's 3.5 acres, and with the zoning they have, they could build 6 houses. But it's being restricted to 3 because 3 is what makes sense for that area. So we'll see more of that as time goes on. A little bit further down, past my house, past the Catholic Church, Tom Kettler has a couple options there. There's going to be some building going on there. You guys, these are onesies and twosies that are going to go in there. And then Gary Hartz, former town commissioner, he has a property that he is going to be building on that's on here's how far out it is, either right or left-hand side, I don't even know. That's going to be built there sometime in the future, and he's going through a process. So I've given you everything that is going on from a development standpoint, the future of the town. To me, we've just got this unbelievably bright future. We talk about our max limit of 6,500 people. That's been in our comprehensive plan for 3 consecutive comprehensive plans now, and we have adhered to it, because we look at the comprehensive plan as the Bible, as our Bible for guidance and how the future of the town is going to go. Keep in mind, anybody that you hear says, oh, that's going to be the next Kentlands, or it's going to be the next Urbana, or the next Clarksburg. So remember this, those 3 towns that I just named, 3 areas I just named, they don't have a municipality. And we believe in the power of the municipality. We believe in that we can speak to residents, get resident feedback, and act on the resident feedback independently from the county and from the state where we have to. Those areas are requiring their council members to speak up for them. And can you imagine being a Clarksburg where they've outbuilt the infrastructure for 10 years now? And it's I have to tell you, I look at it, it's kind of a glum future for them because their infrastructure may not ever catch up to what they have in terms of what they build houses-wise. Urbana, final destination, 27,000 people. Clarksburg, final destination, 30,000 people. Kentland's pretty much built out, but look at the Crown. Crown just keeps on building. And then there's a little old Poolesville that we build them in little sections, and our goal is to keep it a very small town that we know that all of you have said that you want. And it's a balance, and we look at the balance all the time between how many people we have versus how are our businesses, how are our schools, how does all this fit together? It takes some really big picture planning, and I have to admit to all the people that elected me my first 10 years, I didn't have a clue. I was just running it and trying to do the best I can, but we do get it now, and my Board of Commissioners understands it as well. So we can kind of lead and have a pretty good idea of what's going on. So there's your overview. Wife, first question.
So you came down Willard and took a right. What about going left toward the pool? Is there anything going on there?
My wife tees it up for me. Thank you for that. So I did neglect to talk about the pool bubble, which is something that we're fighting for right now. And was that what you're talking about? Thank you. She hears me rail on. Do I talk about this in my sleep?
Yes.
Okay. So the pool bubble is something that we're working on. And we're going to need our groups to stand up with us that support the pool. But here's a classic case of that the county still doesn't get it, right? We're different. We need different consideration up here. And we will never have the numbers. Well, we'll never have the voters, although we try to make ourselves puff up and be bigger than what we really are. We'll never have the voters. So when you talk about the county looking at what they need to provide to us, we made the case for the high school, $130 million, aided by the fact that the county got a ton of money from the state for COVID, and luckily we were right place, right time, plans out, hands out. And then we did the same thing for the community center. Community center needed just as much as the high school. We have a weird dynamic here. Do you know if you're a student at Poolesville High School what it takes to go get medical services? McKenna, how do you do it?
What do you mean?
How do you get medical service? Say you're not feeling well, what do you do? And you don't live here, what happens?
Go to the health room.
You have to go to the health room, which may or may not be manned.
Yeah.
So we've got to, there's never anybody in there. So we have health needs that are odd for this area, right? We don't blend. Darnestown is down there, and what medical services does Darnestown have? You can keep going down the road. Very hard to get medical services. Our best bet is if you have something serious going on, the fire department's going to come and hopefully save your butt. But we're talking about mental health, we're talking about physical health, we're talking about a need that is out there that is totally not being met. And I'll give you an example too. The school has 8 periods, right? What do the kids do that over half the school comes from somewhere else? They've made our school viable. I mean, you guys have done a good job, but you're only half of what we need to be a viable school, all the local kids. So we have to have these other kids, and they've done a tremendous job of blending. My hat's off to Principal Carruthers. I think he's amazing. So this is going to be an interesting scenario. We had to make a case for a community center, and we make a case for the community center by talking about health needs. And so that has been a very important, viable factor. WUMCO has been a big contributor to this. All of our groups are big contributors. Obviously, the seniors are going to be big users of the community center as well. Back down to the pool. The pool's the same way. It took an arm and a leg just to get them to revise the pool, and that was before we really started punching them hard about taking care of the community. If you guys know, there was a time when if you touched anything metal above ground of the pool, you got shocked. That's not healthy for swimming and taking care of yourself. So they redid all the infrastructure below the pool, but that doesn't still, we all know the pool's a 3-month equation. We need a 12-month equation. So we've done the research, and we're actually going to take a field trip down to the St. Mary's pool, St. Mary's College pool in St. Mary's, Maryland. It can be a 5 o'clock awakening, sorry about that. You can still go if you want to. 5 o'clock in the morning, we're going to drive down there and watch them take their pool bubble, which they bought, and put the pool bubble up over their pool, and essentially it turns into a 12-month facility. We know there's going to be improvements that need to be done to the building, right? That's just a fact. That's an old building. And I was told the other day, I mean, you guys probably know this, there's no insulation in it. There's going to be things that have to happen there that's going to be a big deal. But we're prepared to tackle that. Again, the little town that could, we will partner with you. Like Dr. Dill, where we bought it, and we're going to turn it over to the county. We'll still actually own the land. We're just going to give them space to build a community center and run the community center. The pool is going to be the same thing. The bubble is going to be something that we're going to get done, and then we're going to be the guys that store it, load it, unload it, maintain it to some degree. But then they're going to have to staff it. So we're getting everybody to wrap their heads around it right now. Thank you for reminding me. Was there anything else down there that I'm forgetting? White's Ferry, yes, McKenna?
Is that something that like the Poolesville Swim and Dive team is going to be able to use?
Absolutely.
Because they have to wake up at like 4 a.m.
To go somewhere else.
Yeah, and they're such a good team.
Yes. No, we appreciate all the volunteerism. We love the way our pool programs are being run from the high school level, from the Piranha level. Everybody's going to be an advocate. We're going to be calling on them to help us do this. And actually, one of the coolest parts about this is that we may well turn into the pool for persons with disabilities. They get the short shrift right now from the county, and they also have to do some of the very early morning activities. So we're going to work with them on how the schedule is going to work. Obviously, there's going to be time for our people. And we already heard from, so we've already made the case. We've developed a white paper. We put it out there to them. We're prodding the county to go to St. Mary's with us so that they can see how this bubble works. And some low-level staffer, which I will remain nameless, like, are you guys going to make a case for why you need a bubble? That's what we got in an email back. And I said, see, just always a reminder how much work we have to do and make sure we push something like this forward. So go ahead. I'm good now because I've walked you through the town.
Okay, question. With the increased population to 6,500, and with one aspect of the Willard development being a walkable, thriving downtown, bringing in more people and senior living, et cetera, does all that make us more attractive to a grocery store in town?
So I'm glad that was going to be part of the Q&A, and I knew somebody would hit it. Yeah. So thank you for that. And we can.
If I'm walking from my new Willard property downtown, I want to walk to a grocery store.
So we said this would be insider talk, and I'm going to give you insider talk on that. Over a period of time, mostly me, approached 22 different grocery stores and chains in this area to talk to them about not only would you come, but what makes it desirable or undesirable to be here. And we heard mostly undesirable, and mostly undesirable was due about market size, period. So my fellow commissioners agreed that we could fund 2 studies. One study was done by a professional group that all they do is analyze grocery store markets and tell you if you're potentially have any potential or not. And the funny answer to it is that I'll start from the top down. They said it was a grand slam. They said you are the people. You have income, and you have lack of proximity, and there's a number of reasons why your grocery buying is not necessarily going to be affected by what they see as the future of grocery buying. And the future of grocery buying is the Costco's, the Sam's Clubs, the delivery, Amazon, of course, all that. People see them just taking chunks out of the grocery market. But a town-owned or town-operated co-op defeats all that. And we actually have put together a co-op board. So I'll take it back. Grand slam on the study. So now I'm going to give you a stat, and those who know the answer to this, you can't say it. Tell me where 32% of our grocery dollars, by the way, this is all done through cell phone study. They're tracking when you go to a grocery store. All this data is available. They know where you're going, and we can buy that information, and we bought that information. Where did people spend the most amount of money here in Poolesville at grocery stores? What store?
Dollar General.
I like Dollar General, I like that. Yeah, not a bad idea, but no, not Dollar General. Next one. That's what I thought it would be too. How about the next one? That's not the answer. What? No?
Whole Foods.
Giant.
You knew the answer.
I said it.
You did? Sorry, I didn't hear McKenna.
I tried to let your voice.
Right. 32% of our grocery dollars went to Whole Foods, which I thought was astounding. So it's skewy a little bit, right? It's skewy because Whole Foods charges more. So, they get to get a little more of the lion's share due to that. And they deliver, and they actually,
Give food.
and it's only another 7 miles past wherever. So people just figured out that's the way to do it. But Harris Teeter and Safeway were the next two, right? But Whole Foods was almost double those two. So we know the market's here, right? That told the people that did the study for us that the people were willing to spend some money. Now, there's an article in the Washington Post that ran a few days ago. All you do is Google grocery in the Washington Post grocery, and you'll get it. Read it. It'll talk about the grocery market in general. It is not going to be an easy slog to do this. And more insider information. So you guys know that we approached Chevy Chase Market, and they actually had a lease to build in the spot where the playground is for the child care next to Tractor Supply, in that open space. They had a lease to build there. We knew this was approaching the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, people were walking away from leases left and right. And the developer of the property, the owner of the property, felt like the Chevy Chase Market was going to walk. So what they did was they purposely missed the first deadline to show architecturals. They said it was due on a Friday, and they said, shoot, we're not ready, but we'll give them to you on Monday. On Saturday morning, Chevy Chase Market dropped out. Friday, missed deadline, Saturday morning dropped out. We knew they weren't coming. And that deal got sealed at Town Hall those people came together, pictures taken, all that. So that kind of put us back a notch to tell us what was, okay, now what different type of approach are we going to take? And so then we did the studies. So number one on the study was we were a grand slam. The money is there, the income's there, but it has to be town-owned. Town-owned people have to buy into it. You have to recognize you might pay a hair more for your groceries, but not a lot more. That's not the case. We went to Lovettsville several times. If you guys been to Lovettsville, beautiful little town, right? Less than half of our residents and 2/3 of our median family income. And they have a successful co-op. And they've done the successful co-op by doing it the way that we want to do it, which is essentially what we call in real estate a white box. And you retrofit the white box with everything the way you want it, freezers, counters, etc. The co-op board of the United States is very big on this. They are very helpful, and they are free. So we've assembled this co-op board, and we're going to further this discussion. We've spent your money, taxpayers' money, funding these studies. Study number one said, slam dunk. Study number two was creating a pro forma for how much it would cost. That put me back on my heels. I knew it was going to be expensive, but it's about $8 million to come up with to make it work, right? That's upfront starting costs, build your building, etc. You can have a developer build a building, and then you're just paying your leasing, and those numbers come way down. The co-op board is going to have more discussions about this. My goal is not to lead this because my heart's in it, but it's going to be time consuming. We're going to have a board that's going to have to be a working board. Maybe Jeff and Val can jump on it. So
I got nothing else to do.
all right. Anyway, so end result is that's something that we're looking at. We're going to put together. Yes?
I live on the north part of Poolesville.
Okay.
And the only way to get to my community, as well as a couple of others, is the wonderful Jerusalem Road.
Yeah.
2 tiny slivers of it are in the town.
Yeah.
But the
Yes.
rest of it is county. Is there anything we can do to get the county to resurface that? I mean, every year for
Yeah.
years, I keep hoping that.
So we do it too. We have gone to them and actually and my fellow commissioners on this one, you may or may not be a part of this, but we've what we call coring. We've cored that road to show them how deficient it is. And that means drilling a hole in it and then showing them what the infrastructure looks like underneath the road. And it's conclusive, as you can tell just by driving on it, but it's conclusive that the road is breaking apart from down below. And so we've gone back to them. But to the people in this room, insider view, don't spread it around, but there are also groups that don't want that road paved, if you can believe it. And yeah, and so they are.
I was amazed that they finally replaced the guardrails.
Yes.
Those were rusted through. I couldn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even stop me from leaning on
No. I feel for you, man. I tell you,
when they replaced them.
we consider that stretch to be part of our community, and we have fought them for that. And we've had pushback. But that road is dangerous, and it's not safe for cars. It's not safe for bears. It's not safe for, anybody that travels on that road. It's not safe for, we know that. But thank you.
Some even said they're not allowed to build a sidewalk up on it.
Yeah, it's rural rustic.
It's a rural rustic road, and what they want is for you not to use it.
But we're trapped where we live.
Yeah.
It's the only way in or out.
Yeah, we know it's bad.
There's a lot of traffic out of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cars going.
You're supposed to not use it. You know why? Why are you doing that? It's rural rustic. You're supposed to stay off
It's
it.
like cattail, they
Well,
just don't want us to use them.
We have some battles on that they're even deeper than just Jerusalem Road, unfortunately. Because remember, it's one thing if we're all united about what we do in Poolesville, or you share the vision or you don't share the vision, and you speak up and we'll listen. But it's very tough once you step outside these four walls of town. Again, the power of the municipality versus the county. All of a sudden, we become a nothing the minute you step outside of our walls. And that road is part of that in my mind. And I've also, Val will tell you, Jeff will tell you, I've gone toe-to-toe with the county on how dangerous that is. And cattail is one of them too. So we'll keep fighting the fight. And I think there's a chance that we might get the worst part of it paved still this fall. I know, me too. I think so too.
Expecting damage to the undercarriage of the car.
It's awful. It's awful. All right.
Just
Yeah.
one more comment on that. White ground. So
Yeah.
we've only been in town for about 7 years or so, but in the amount of time we've been in town, white ground has been paved, 2-3 times it seems? And white ground, I'm pretty sure has far less usage than Jerusalem. I just don't understand.
Yeah, I can tell you there's forces at work on that, and it depends on whose constituency is fighting for it. It is
Price you
ridiculous.
pay for living in the ag reserve.
And we were actually told for Jerusalem, so they said, you can't pave it, because we offered to pave stretches of it ourselves. And basically, we've come up, over the last several years, our paving budget has been better than what we thought it would be. And so we've offered to pave stretches for that. They won't let us do it. But they did say that if we wanted to write a check, that they would put it in their queue. That's ridiculous. So, all right, guys, other Q&A, you've learned everything. Yes, sir, in back.
Jim, I'm just going to give you take your trip just a little bit further down Wooten Avenue.
Yeah.
And we're going to turn left at Spades Hill Road.
Yeah.
Left again at Stevens Park Road.
Yeah.
And thank you for the new pickleball courts.
Yeah, so my pleasure. Yeah.
We had 32 people playing at the same time.
I saw that.
People waiting.
Isn't that amazing? So is the pitch coming for a cover? Jim, if you're up for it.
Supposed to mention that.
Yeah, we could. No, I'm with you on it too, and we talk about it. And we're looking at cover technology because there's several places that we may want to cover, including partially that too. So, yeah, thank you for spearheading all that.
Jim, you mentioned
Lance.
water treatment, but
Yeah.
you haven't discussed it. Are you going to get to that?
I am.
Okay.
So, and we can do it right now. Appreciate the question about pickleball. Thank you, Jeff. Make note. So, water, right? Lifeblood of the town. I can safely say, and I'm just Jim Brown, real estate agent,
Just Jim Brown.
commissioner, that's it. But I can tell you for a fact that no town in Maryland watches their water harder than we watch it. We pay very, very close attention, and we know to the gallon how much we're pumping, where we're putting it, how clean it is. and how it's being treated, how much it costs to treat it. We know those things, I would say, better than we know many things about this town. And the commissioners are all well versed on how it works too, because we have to make some decisions that are really big decisions. So to answer your question, everybody knows what PFAS is, or you've heard of PFAS, forever chemicals. And the United States of America is going through a PFAS revolution right now, where they're discovering that these forever chemicals are in many, many water supplies. Where they thought they had it bad for like Flint, which was some terrible water, but PFAS is everywhere. And PFAS, through EPA guidelines that have been established recently, have to be treated by all these municipalities at huge cost by 2029. So the town of Poolesville, because of the way our water system is set up, where we know where our water comes from, and we know how fast we can pull it out of the ground, we decided that we were going to be our own test incubator. And we were going to figure out how to treat PFAS in a way that made sense for our town, but also to set the tone for the rest of Maryland. And that is something that we've done. So, again, we know what we're doing, right? We know how many wells. I'm not saying we know everything, but I'm saying that our town pays special attention and pays money to people that help us understand our water to the degree that we do. So we created a filtration system. No one else in Maryland had done it. We created this filtration system. And we tested the filtration system. And we did it out of your money to do it, because we realized that the health of our community, there's nothing more important than that. So we created this, we've tested all of our wells. We know where all of our wells stand in terms of purity and PFAS. We already have a game plan to, well, I'll say that it's in progress. But we treated our most highest performing well, which is well 2, and well 2 produces 125 gallons per minute. And it essentially could power many towns' water needs, but it's just one of our 14 wells. So take a step back. We have 14 wells. They're all smart wells. They all talk to each other. If one's having a bad day, other ones pick up the slack. And if we're having to shut one down for a reason, the other guys can pump more. We never approach what our capacity is. That's not our plan. We asked for conservation this summer, right? Because we had a number of wells down this summer to treat for PFAS and to take our, it's hard to call it an experiment, but to create our filtration system and measure the results of our filtration system. So we're doing that. But the number one answer is, it's been a resounding success. We have 0 PFAS getting through our filtration system. The media is lasting longer than we thought it would, so it's enabling us to make different judgments. Look at it this way. We have, there's 14 wells around this town that contribute water. They're purposefully spread out so we don't pull from one aquifer over another. They all have to work together. You can't put all your wells in one area and then you just suck the aquifer dry there. They all work together. The technology that we put on well 2, and so for a while, if you guys saw it, we were painting the water tower inside and out, right? Do you like our graphics on it? We fought hard to get them to look good. Did anybody see?
Those look so
Our first.
They were so tiny.
Yeah.
How do you know what?
Now the painting company came to me with the graphics, and I said, look, I don't give a crap what you guys do, but they got to be big and they got to be bold, and you got to be able to see them. The first one that showed up, I literally think the Falcon that we had was like me, like this big.
I think you came to the track to look at it while
I did.
we were having practice.
Yeah, I was astounded at how bad it was. So I called a timeout, talked to my fellow commissioners. We decided we got to do over on that. But anyway, well 2 powers the water tower, which distributes water throughout the town. So the water tower is down because of that we're painting it inside and out. Well 2 is down because that's what feeds the water tower. And also too, that we had to create this technology that we tested on some of our slower performing wells. And then it was super dry. So we asked for voluntary conservation. The town showed up just like it's supposed to. Water usage went way down. And again, the pride of our community, where other places, you tell them to conserve water, they're like, nope, I'm watering my lawn. Not in Poolesville. All that kind of shrunk down. Our water usage went way down. Conservation's great. I mean, we all want to conserve water. So now we've moved past it. Water tower's finished. It's full up again. Well 2 is now receiving the filtration for PFAS, our biggest performing well. Our town staff, everybody knows who they are, Wade Yost, Niles, our staff hydrologist, Kathy Mim. They're working on a plan right now where they're going to blend some of these wells and then treat the blended wells for PFAS. Because we can't put a PFAS filtration unit on all 14 wells. Too expensive, no hope for getting money back from the state. So we're going to do that. And they're working on a game plan. So you're going to see some things happening here where some wells, the stream might be dug up, and that means we're connecting one well to another one so that we can treat them both at the same time. What the engineers told me a long time ago, the solution to pollution is dilution. And that's what we're doing by treating PFAS after we bring all these wells together. So I'm more confident than ever that we have this unbelievable water system. There's a group outside of Poolesville called Montgomery Countryside Alliance. I know you guys have heard of it before. They tend to use us for their Petri dish. They fundraise for themselves, trying to talk about how Poolesville's water is handled. And once again, they force us to be introspective. Are we looking at our water the right way? Are we getting it from other angles? Are we getting all the input we need? More convinced than ever that we're just in a great position in terms of water. We will build redundant wells. We'll build redundant wells that do not affect our current wells. We will treat the redundant wells for PFAS. All that takes time, all that takes money, but that's the direction that we're headed. Yeah, go ahead.
How do you dispose of the PFAS as you filter it out of the water? So they are forever chemicals.
That's right. Well, the EPA has a protocol, and basically the media is removed from the system, and then it gets taken somewhere that the EPA says it's supposed to go. So I feel... No, Dickerson. No, it doesn't get burned. I did learn that, but thank you for asking about it. No, it's not. So the part of the value of the media is that it takes the concentration of PFAS and brings it down to a tiny, actual amount of materials. So the media is doing that. Yes.
Let's talk about e-bikes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you called me.
No, I am you. Yes.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
More and more kids are riding e-bikes. More and more grown-ups. I don't.
Yeah.
I see the trend happening. If we're going to make Poolesville walkable, we're going to have e-bike riders who think that it's okay to ride on the sidewalk. Is Poolesville anticipating this growth and planning to set up guidelines, rules, infrastructure for e-bikes?
Well, there's a lot of things that we fall under Montgomery County rules for because we don't have a police force. So we have there's our code enforcement. Somebody was asking me the other day, they wanted us to do some code enforcement on something that basically you would need a police force to do, and I'll remember what it is. But I was like, no, we have a part-timer. His name is Skip Etheridge. He's the nicest guy in the world, and his job is just we more like cajole than we do ticket. But we do try to stay on top of things. But streetscape down Fisher Avenue from start to finish is going to be bike laned on both sides. And that's going to be, so you're going to see with streetscape, and by the way, again, I'll include that in links. So I'm going to include the development links, I'll include the streetscape links. You can see what the streetscape looks like. And that's, for me, for the viable future, it's all Fisher Avenue will be bike laned on both sides. And then they will be, the bikes, electric bikes will fall under what's going to be used on the bike lane. And that's it. So we'll see what happens. Golf carts, we've been petitioned several times about golf carts. And I don't necessarily see that happening. In fact, I saw somebody get busted the other day, and they were having a hell of an argument with a police officer about it. And it's like, sorry about that.
So following up on that question, increasing the number of houses you put here is going to have a direct effect on the traffic density in downtown Poolesville. And that seems to clash with wanting not a pedestrian area or whatever. So how are you looking at that? How do you reconcile these two issues?
So I'm going to tell you, here's a quick background piece, and Val was part of this as a commissioner. We are the only town in Maryland that took away a state road and made it our own. Because Fisher Avenue was a state road that was never going to be dealt with by the state. Again, all the same reasons. No density, we don't have residents, we don't have voters. Sorry about that, money's going to go elsewhere. We petitioned them, and it took us 4 years, and I had to appear before the Public Service Commission. There was all kinds of things to do. We took over Fisher Avenue. That's why you see the blinking lights at the crosswalks. They would never even install. We had to install the crosswalks. They would never put a blinking light up there. So we basically took over that road in order to make it safer in a variety of ways, including pedestrian safety. And I actually do believe that streetscape, once we get it in place, you're talking about where you're seeing, there's some spots on the road where it's 4 lanes across. You guys know that on Fisher Avenue. It's insane. The bend behind CVS, all that. This is all going to be cut down in size with traffic calming, bike lanes, wider sidewalks, and more crosswalks for pedestrian safety. And I think we're going to go through a pretty big education plan because we've done it, we've forced it on our residents so far, but we're going to be forcing it through traffic enforcement, the observation of the blinking lights until people get it together and realize you got to stop every time. I think that's the most we can do. So, and the downtown residents, you're right, we're adding density in an area where there is traffic. But this is going to come together with streetscape and more pedestrian crossings and I think some education too. So, yes?
Could you touch briefly on the waste treatment plant? They've been doing work on it here recently. And
right.
I thought we were already at the ceiling for the volume of effluent that could be dumped into the Dry Seneca Creek. So with more people coming, that's more waste.
Right. So our permit is for a certain amount, and we actually, and I appreciate the question too, and I think I had to keep going down Fisher Avenue to get the wastewater treatment plant. So the wastewater treatment plant is not at capacity. In fact, we're at a point now, and it's we keep talking about adding more houses, but it's amazing that the newer houses and new houses, I have no idea why, because there's bigger families going in there, but they use less water and they deposit less everything. And I don't know why it's more efficient.
It's more efficient. It's all new technology. Appliances are new. Water, faucets have water restrictions. Toilets are using water.
So that's the key. Is really what I'm talking about is the toilets. So and what that comes down to is that's one aspect of it. And we keep modernizing our wastewater treatment plant all along. And we get state money to do that. That's not your taxpayer money going into that. But one thing that we do have going on is we have built, again, a state-of-the-art Leadership in Maryland nitrite removal system, and these are some big buildings. If you drive down the road, which I got in trouble because I said, hey, everybody just go down the road and look at it, and they were like, don't say that. we don't want people driving down there. It's all industrial traffic. But if you go down to the wastewater treatment plant, which go down there on a one-to-one basis, don't go down there en masse, and don't tell them I sent you. When you go down there, you'll see these buildings that are being built right now. And remember, Poolesville is a gravity system, right? You're talking about the low point in Poolesville receives all the effluent, and the high part of Poolesville is where it starts. And as again they say for the cameras, shit rolls downhill. And it ends up at our wastewater treatment plant where we have been able to use technology. So, I'll tell first of all, that's one of the reasons why our comp plan says 6,500. We know that there's going to be some technological breakthroughs that'll have to take place if we're ever going to be bigger than that. But we know we have the capacity for that. Our figures are really conservative. The numbers that we use for both water usage and effluent are very, very conservative. Much more conservative than even Maryland Department of Environment advises, much more conservative than other municipalities, other places. We really know this is a resource, both the water and also what happens with the wastewater is something that we really can't mess with. So we've just built these 2 buildings. They're going to both nitrite removal systems that are going to go in. And this is something that we're 7 or 8 years ahead of time, but Dry Seneca Creek is very important to us, that if there's something that didn't go right there, we would be in trouble. We would be up Schitt's Creek. And that would be bad news. So we're doing this system, we're doing another level of effluent cleaning before we introduce it to the system. And again, those things aren't cheap, and this is another way that, and I credit town staff. I'd like to see my fellow commissioners and I thought of this, but it's not us. It's Wade Yost, it's Niles, it's us attending places and figuring out what's the best way to handle this stuff. So it is happening, but that is also why we're at 6,500 for our max. I know. You're like, look over to the right, Jim. Yeah.
Can you touch on the situation at Collier Circle Pond? And I learned recently that it's being managed by the county. And how does that process work in terms of communicating to them what our needs are related to that water body?
Yeah, so you're talking about the fact that it's algaed over?
Right.
Yeah. So, here, and you probably know some of the background on this too. And I love that area. That's like one of my favorite areas in Poolesville. First of all, the county does control, those are stormwater management ponds. We'd like to think that they're our own lakes, but they are Poolesville, they are stormwater management ponds. They receive runoff from all of our neighborhoods and our streets. It's all measured. It all has to be, it's all part of a calculus. So for each one of those, we've gotten permission at various times on how to treat those ponds to stop the algae blooms and to make them more healthy in our eyes, in our noses. So you'll see that there's some ponds where they've, again, allowed us to treat them at our cost to see if that stops the algae bloom, et cetera. Collier Circle Pond has vexed us the entire time. And we've actually tried different methods. The methods that we did 10 years ago are no longer allowed, period. They don't, you're not allowed to introduce those chemicals into those ponds. So are we still working on it? Yes, the town is painfully aware of the condition of that pond. We consider that region, I don't want to slight any other neighborhood, but we consider that region to be one of our most resourceful natural areas, and dealing with the pond and having it be a healthy pond is absolutely still a top priority for us. We just struggle with it.
So the town has the latitude to step in?
And we have. And we've actually tried different things. And that doesn't mean we're out of ammo on that. There's going to be more to be done. But just for instance, and just like back to the wastewater treatment plant, the key is aeration, right? You keep the water moving, introduce air to it. That's part of the healthiness of the pond. And so we've done that in a couple of places, and we know that the only place on the Collier Circle Pond is right around the aerator is the only place doesn't have it. And I think I'm going to bet it's even covered at points to that point too.
You've added buffer zones?
Yeah, yes.
Since I've moved in?
Yeah, so we're always trying, and I can tell you where we've had success. If you go to the ones on the pond at the very end of Spates Hill Road, like it's closer to Fisher, where Spates Hill Road winds all the way around, we've had some success on there, but the success there didn't work on the Collier Circle Pond, and it had to do with more the tree overhang, the depth of the pond, and also we've had some residents come after us hard about, how dare you cut down the whippoorwills and the cattails and everything around it. But we do what MDE tells us to do, and at the same time, we get the permission to do some of the stuff that we want to do it. Because we know if it was up to MDE again, they actually will look at the pond that you have. And Tom, you can feel free to chime in. You've done some of this too. They look at some of these ponds and say they're healthy, and we say no. What's that?
The ducks don't.
Well, I'll tell you, we stormwater management and maintaining healthy ponds, that is something that's both time-consuming, management-consuming, brain power-consuming. We're getting ready to potentially shut down so back in the day at Stevens Park, there's some big, they look like lakes there, and those were our overflow bins for raw sewage. And if the town couldn't treat it, we diverted it, and then we treated it at our own pace. We pull it out. Well, we've become so efficient at treating wastewater that we really don't think we need the ponds anymore, so we're probably going to be shutting those down. And I hate to say it, but the less ponds, the better. There are maintenance issues, and Collier Circle Pond will never be abandoned. That's one of our absolute gems. We've just got to figure out a way to manage it. So far, again, it's the county that controls it, but we do things to them. So we're never going to forget it. We got to get it together. I hope, and you're in my lifetime, we do that.
Is there an update on White's Ferry?
You had to ask that question, huh, AJ? Yeah. So, you guys, if you're trying to raise my blood pressure, I try to keep it down. White's Ferry brings it back up again. So you guys know that for years we ran point on that. Because, again, the same old issues that we've run into with other town initiatives that are controlled by the county. They kind of don't care. Even though we've got a really good council member right now, Marilyn Balcom, and we have Andrew Friedson, who's been amazing, potentially our next county executive. We've gotten some people that have really paid attention to things. And they have fought. David Fraser-Odago, if you get a chance to vote for him again, vote for him. He's awesome. They've fought hard for this. But in the end, I said at the 3-year mark to my partner in crime, Link, I said, dude, I'm stopping wasting brain power on this. Didn't I say that? I was like, I'm not going to fret over this anymore. This is BS that a millionaire and a millionaire, or a millionaire and a billionaire, well, they all got a lot of money. Why they can't get it together, why we are being held hostage on this thing. Why can't that, again, people like stick a microphone in my face. What's going on with White Ferry? And is it going to open soon? And I say, listen, it's just a boat going across the river. That's what this comes down to. Yet they've turned it into this almost national issue. And it is freaky when you think about it. One of the most well-to-do counties in the entire United States, one of the most well-to-do counties in the United States, a board, a Montgomery County Council that's engaged, Virginia group of supervisors that doesn't give a crap, an owner on now our side that's a multimillionaire. He could operate the boat, period. He always said he didn't want to make a profit, but he can't work a deal. A millionaire on the other side that says all she wants is 50 cents a car, which is not exactly what she wants, but that's what she says. So you take all those together, a river to the oldest states in the country, throw all those things in a mixed bag, and you got a boat that can't go across the river, and they cannot reach a deal. So I had a conversation with, and I'm happy to tell this, and if this made the evening news, I'd be happy it did. We had a conversation, we have an ongoing conversation with the DOT, Maryland's DOT. Chris Conklin, you guys have seen him, he gets a lot of mic time whenever there's a question about transportation issues. I sent him an email the other day, hey Chris, this is my usual check-in. What's happening with the ferry? Tell us what's going on. Negotiations are ongoing, and we're not necessarily close to an agreement, but the sides are talking. I look back 6 months ago, that was the exact words he wrote, and that was copy-paste. And I sent it off to Link, who gets pissed off just like I do. I said, check this out. And I just did the two things next to each other. And that's what it was. So we don't know. But I think we're going to raise some more brain power on it because we can never let it go. I think the ferry is an important part. We identified White's Ferry as being, it's historical, it's transportation, it's a lot of things. It's part of our culture. So we are going to work on that, and we're not going to stop. And we just actually, we just met with Andrew Friedson recently, and we asked the guy that's probably going to be the county executive one day, what do you got for us? What can you do? He goes, well, so I sent an email to Chris Conklin, and he said that they're working on it, and they have I'm like, all right, never mind. You got the same damn email I did. So anyway, we're not going to give up on it. All the pieces are there. It was alarming when Mark Elbert said it would take a year to get it up and running after they reached an agreement. So I say to you and everybody in this room, remember, it was just a boat. You drive your car on it and it goes across the river. It's not high tech. It's a low tech solution to a high tech problem. Traffic. Yes?
Question, you might have already said it, but I didn't remember the answer. The new townhome development
Yes.
by CBS.
Tip of the spear.
Who's the developer? What's the timeline? And you mentioned Hill earlier, talking about effluent.
Yeah.
The topography of that land, are they going to build it up to get all those townhomes there? Or are they going to cut it all down? Because it's a big hill.
Right. So our plan is, and the way I think it looks, remember, as a commissioner, we set the guidelines, but the Planning Commission does essentially the creation. And I've tried actually not to be involved. People, you know, like, I think having real estate background has been really helpful, and it allows me to do things like look at the town in a different light, help us get somewhere. But the Planning Commission really has set that out. That plan is out there. Jeff had some commentary on it, I remember. And they made some changes thanks to Jeff's commentary, but the topography will still exist. So the townhouses, in my opinion, are going to have some rollingness to them, which we want. We don't want scorched earth flat townhouses. And we think it's very important. We have there's a profile that's written into our code that talks about how things have to look when they get built. And if you live in what we call the Dan Ryan townhouses, which were the ones across the street, we compromised on that. We had to compromise on it to have, you know, if you guys remember, people that lived in Poolesville for a long time, the Assumption barn was there. It was a drug den. And so we wanted that to get plowed over and turned into something that's viable. I know a lot of the people that live in those townhouses, my ex-wife, a lot of friends, they all live there. They love them, and they love the proximity, they love the houses, et cetera. But we're looking for something which I will think is going to be much better on the other side of the road. So topography. So, thanks for going back. You wouldn't let me escape without that. So I don't know who the developer is. The person that is, and give some quick background too. That property was owned by Jay Donegan, who is a commercial developer. As you guys recall, Jay Donegan proposed several commercial developments there, all of which included a gas station, and none of which the town of Poolesville said they wanted. So when you have commercial property, you have the ability to build residential. So our town residents spoke up and made it not viable to have commercial development there, so he sold it to a residential developer. And the residential developer has come up with a plan that makes sense for that area. Again, it's a downtown density. You wouldn't want single-family homes there. That's not what you want. And they, to me, are the ones that are going to put the shovel in the ground first. Could be as early as this year. And I think his plan is to try and have a model ready to go for people to look at in the spring. And I can tell you this, again, I know there's plenty of naysayers out there. Oh, the town's big enough. We don't need any more people, even though I just got here. But they do, there's going to be a lot of desire for those townhouses, and there's going to be a lot of desire for those single-family homes that are going to be next to Whalen Commons. You know, this is a special place to live. We've made it special. It's always been special, and both of those developments are going to be huge hits. And I'm excited for it because I think there's going to be a lot of Poolesville people that move into those houses. So, are you one of them? Are you potentially going to move to one of those places? Good. Yeah.
A lot of people, that's why you're talking to Poolesville seniors.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are the population that everybody wants to know, what are we going to do?
So I'm going to give you two things too, and which is, I don't want to keep running long, and you guys can cut me off anytime you want. This, so when we developed our comprehensive plan, which is the 10-year plan for the town itself, the 10-year plan, besides what I've just told you tonight, is no growth. No growth, which to me is not healthy, but I'm not going to be around to be the one that's, I'm going to be the guy sitting on my front porch and, you know, maybe I'll be counting cars, maybe I won't. But it's no growth. Those developments get built. We're at 6,500. Our comprehensive plan says 6,500. I think we'll be below 6,500. But that's going to be it. And I think there's going to be a period of time where there's a weird, odd stagnation going on here that we always have to plan for the future. We always have to figure out what next looks like. I'm not saying that we're going to go above the comprehensive plan number. That's not it. But you will see infill. Those 3 lots on Fisher Avenue by my house, that's infill. The filling in where the tip of the spear, infill, Whalen Commons infill. They're going to be part of that. So the pledge is from that developer. His name is John Petrella. His family lives in Poolesville. I don't know if you guys know Evie Petrella. Super nice. They live in Hunter's Run. That's who the developer is, but he's not the builder, and I don't know who the builder is. So, but I'm excited about what that's going to turn out to be like. I think people are going to love living there.
Jim, I want to thank you.
Yeah.
I guess we got a couple more questions.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Past 8:30, so
Okay.
I want to check with everybody.
Okay, good. What else you got then?
Just a question about timing. You mentioned the timing on the townhomes. And so I realized a lot of what you said is really interesting, actually. I learned a lot in this session, so thank you for spending.
Yeah, hit me up extra time. I can talk about it more. I'm not running for re-election, by the way. Jeff is. I'm not. So I can talk about development, building all the time, and I know it is what it is. But go ahead.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. Exciting for the town.
And so I'm wondering, and while some of it might be really far out, right? Like
Yeah.
a long time horizon.
Yeah.
Can you comment on the timing, relatively speaking, like what's going to happen first versus what's next?
So I'm not going to, like I said, I know we got to keep it moving here. But it's going to be really interesting, right? So I've told Jeff this too. We have 3 commissioners up for election this November. And I've loved serving with everybody, and everybody runs again. I'd be happy to work with them again. They've been great. But there was a time when we would have 3 developments on Fisher Avenue being built at the same time while these guys are up for election in what could be, there's a substantial amount of people that say, we love Poolesville just like it is. We don't want any more people. And, to be nice about it, we call them door slammers because they want to get here and slam the door behind them. We don't blame them. We love Poolesville too. We want it to thrive. But there was a look like we were going to be building 3 developments at the same time. There was going to be an election, and that's how you get unelected. So we have it looks like all of those have slowed down to some degree, and I do believe the townhouse development at the tip of the spear is going to happen relatively soon. I can't tell you about the Willards because they keep kind of I worry about who's going to see this, but they kind of keep monkeying around with tweaking what they're going to do. And all it would take is for the federal government or some other entity to say, roll out new PFAS rules, and if something that we couldn't keep up with, we would say, sorry guys, there's no more water. We're not going to release water. And if you do that, you're not going to build development. The commercial area at the tip of the spear is guaranteed water. They are the only ones.
Community center? I mean, timing on that, bubble?
So here's what's happening. Thank you for that too. Community center timeline is that we're going to, again, we're going to jump ahead. There's approximately 140 something county-wide projects that look like ours. Yet we're going to go from a medium level. Again, thank you to the 20+ groups that responded. And we're jumping up into top 10 territory right now. And that's exactly what we did with the high school. Our plan was to no longer be part of the mix because you don't get done. The community center is funded through future budgets. Our job as a community will make sure that that stays in place. It wasn't supposed to be started to be built till 2028 with completion in 2029 or even 2030. And with us doing through the site selection process and being able to donate property to the cause, we've moved from middle of the pack to the top of the pack. So our job is they tell us they want something, we do it the next day. We're going to be meeting in September, here in another couple weeks, the commissioners are to talk about site selection and to make sure that the commissioners representing all the people are behind the site selection for it. Dr. Dillingham Park still makes the most amount of sense. So with any luck, we just keep moving up the schedule and then they put a shovel in the ground, just like you saw how fast Poolesville High School came together, right? Record time. And that's because we were shovel ready. And we'll be shovel ready for the community center and the pool bubble. So back to the pool bubble too. Next up is, we go to them. We've got some convincing to do, but we're going to go down there and we're dragging county officials with us to show them how easy this is. And I thank you taxpayers again, but we're going to use some of your money to buy the bubble. We're going to use town staff to be the people that install it and take it down. I want us to do that. Nothing against anybody from the county, but they don't take care of things, we do. And so we're going to do something about that and make sure that we keep, once this bubble comes, that we're going to be really good stewards of it, and we're going to be the ones that put it up and down. And again, talk about, like if we just came to them and said, hey, build us a bubble, their thing would be, talk to the next level of politicians in 2030 or whatever. We say, hey, we're going to help buy the bubble, and we just need you to staff it. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, where's the bubble? St. Mary's. We're on the 24th of September. There's 10 of us driving down there at 5 o'clock in the morning. And we're going to film every aspect of it and meet the manufacturer. And we do all this stuff because, they won't do it for one thing, but we'll do it. Yeah.
Allowed to mention Riverworks?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping you would.
Okay. I'm David Myers. I've met some of you, but Real quickly, tonight was the second meeting for a lot of the businesses in Poolesville, and we're going to extend this further to get an idea of what's going on with Riverworks and what's really happening. Many of you probably know the church and where that used to be the thrift shop. The land is owned by the Riverworks Foundation. We are going to build it. We've got almost 60% of the funding already. We opened it up to the town last week and tonight. We opened up the building so people could see and get an idea of what's really happening. And we wanted to make sure the Poolesville community, businesses and individuals knew what was happening with Riverworks before we start expanding the interest further. There are a lot of people in the county that are very interested in what's going on. So to Jim's point earlier about the arts and things happening in Poolesville, this is going to be really the first major building that will be built toward that process. And we just want you to be aware of it. We want you to know what's happening. We will be sending out invitations to other events that are going to happen in the building to let you know what we're doing. And I'm certainly here to ask any questions if anybody wants to know what's going on. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
I want to thank you again for coming.
Yep.